I've been running a development company for the past 3 years. My first client was worth about 8,000 USD, 11,000 Singapore dollars. My latest clients have been worth about 70,000 and 100,000 USD respectively over their lifetime. This is a presentation about the lessons that I learned in making my clients worth literally 10 times more and how other service-based businesses can as well. This is a presentation for B2B service business. Now, there's 3 parts to this. Firstly, it's how to find the clients who value you more. Instead of asking just for more, find those who want you more, who are willing to pay. Secondly, how do you deliver above their standards and keep them forever? Keeping them for a long time is how you make a bunch of money. And 3, how over-communication is the best key to retention. Well, firstly, why does any company engage with your services, right? Essentially, a client has a problem, they come to you and you give them a solution, right? When they engage with your services, they get a solution. That solution is worth X dollars to the client. Client 1 makes $100,000 a year. Your solution adds 10% to his revenue, right? Let's say I build out some email automation. We're a software consulting company, so we build out some software for them. It adds 10% to their revenue. 10% times 100,000, we added $10,000 in business value. So we can charge a percentage of that. Client 2, right? Let's say I find another client. They make $1 million a year. My solution adds 10% to his revenue. That's now 100,000. You will take home a slice of the value that you create. If you find clients who are worth more, the same work can be worth way more to you and to them. So that's the kind of first lesson. Now, I want to obviously go into how you actually find these, right? But this is a really important idea that I think is worth digesting if you haven't come across it before. So, okay, that's great, but how do I actually find them and get them, right? So how do I actually find these clients? Now, your basic answer is whatever you do for marketing, just do it to the larger, richer clients. Do it to clients that are worth more and have them come to you if you already have amazing marketing. Now, my 2 favorite ways are creating relationships and giving away free stuff. And I think these 2 ways are the most flexible because they let you get feedback from clients that are way out of your league. I think these are the most powerful ways to engage with clients that are way bigger than you should otherwise have access to. I say this as a young person who doesn't have like a massive business network or who has built a business network just over time. And I've done it primarily through these 2 things. So the first thing is creating relationships. You want to go out of your way to meet these client types. My best 2 ways are go to the events that they go to and go wherever they spend time. So create friendships. Friendships build trust. When the client has your problem, they'll go straight to you because you built trust with them. Trust plus a problem and they'll come to you first. When it's your service, they will come to you because they trust you already. Now, the way I did this was I started by going to events. I went to a couple events in like New York, Switzerland, things like that. And I just made relationships. I made friendships. Over time, those relationships resulted in my largest clients. Example 2, spend time wherever they spend time. That is why I moved to London, actually. I moved to London to be closer to bigger value clients. I spend a lot of time at private clubs and things. I work out at one. I try and spend times at venues where these people are more likely to be as well. And in hopes, that I'm going to bump into them and they're going to know other people who are like-minded and I'm in their circles. And so I'm trying to hit above my weight in terms of where I spend time to come across those types of people. Option 2 is giving away free stuff. One of the best things about this one is that you can target who you find, whereas in events and, just spending time where they are, you can't be as specific. But if you do some real work for free and you show the client that you're really good, then you can charge them for more later. And yes, this still works if this is a one-time service, whatever, and I'll explain why in a second. But when a client comes to you and they have a problem, you solve the problem really well, you make them happy, they have problem 2, they come to you again. Now you charge them and you make a bunch of money. I used to think that I couldn't do this because I was a development agency and I was like, oh, how do I do partial service? It doesn't really work. You can start by doing the service for free, right? You can do 1 month of work free. You can start by trying to build a smaller tool. You can start by building a prototype. You can start by building just architecture and demos. You can start by, there's loads of ways that you can start. You can start with documentation, doing free planning, free scoping, whatever it is. You can do some partial solution for free. And it's up to you to think through that, for whatever your business is. With that kind of out of the way, we want to hit the clients that are worth more, right? To get a larger portion of the value that we create. The second key thing is that keeping them is how you actually really unlock much bigger LTV, right? So much bigger client lifetime values. Now, this graphic I think kind of makes my point. Client 1 has a problem, they come to you, you give them a solution, you make them really happy. They have another problem, they come to you again, you make more money. They have another problem, they come to you again, they make you even more money. Client 2 has a problem, they come to you, you get a bit of money, but you don't do a great job. Client 2 has another problem and they're going to go to your competition because they didn't like your service the first time. You have one chance to make a first impression, make it right, and then they will come to you again and again and again. If you do great work, you can keep them. If you keep them, man, you can make so much more money just because over time, it just adds up. Like when they're on a retainer or something like that and they just keep paying you and 6 months go by, 9 months go by, and you just look at the total spend they've had And it adds up. It really does. I also want to caveat this by saying I think this still applies if you're a one-time service of some sort, because I've done one-time projects and things like that, because happy clients will get you more referrals. I don't really show it here, but this client is worth tons of money, not just because they keep coming to you, but also because they might give you referrals. They'll find their friend who also has the same problem as they do. They'll say, hey, this guy solved my problem really well. You should go with him. Whereas client 2, if his friend has the same problem as he did, he's going to say, don't go to that guy because he did a terrible job for me. I'm actually now with his competition. You should go with him too. That will cost you a bunch of potential earnings. So yes, if you're still a one-time service, you should absolutely try and keep your clients and make them really, really happy. Now, first rule of keeping them, do the thing that you're paid to do really well. And I want to make an example out of this because I engaged with an agency recently for a particular marketing service. Now, this agency, they have this philosophy of unscalable hospitality or something. And basically, they sent me a welcome package with some really nice things. It's got like a nice ceramic mug, like proper nice. It's got a little book. It's got a little pickle jar of some sort, whatever. It's got a bunch of cool things. And they're like genuinely good quality items. But the one thing that I pay them to do, I actually think they suck at it. And so I'm absolutely going to leave them because the singular thing that I wanted to pay them to do, they haven't done to my standards. And so it's really frustrating for me. Do the thing that you're paid to do really, really well first. Before you do any other fancy step, you have to do the singular thing that you got paid to do and solve that problem well. So what does that actually mean? In my mind, it means having higher standards than them. So your standards have to be higher than theirs. Now, what does that actually mean? That means paying more attention to details than they do. Operationally, higher standards means just having more attention to details. Now, I want to illustrate this by an example of stuff that I do, essentially. I make software. We make applications and the like. Most people would say these two things are pretty similar interfaces. Now, the difference is the attention to detail. This is the correct version, this is the original, and this was meant to be a replica. And this replica is failing on a couple small details, but they're still important. This is the definition of higher standards. The person who's able to pay attention to more of the details has higher standards. So, for example, over here, we can look at firstly, the heading, the font weight is different, right? And so that's immediately something that's not right. If we look at over here, like the corner radius is different, the spacing between the words is different, this chevron arrow is also different, like this one is curved and this one is straight edged, which it shouldn't be. The font over here, the color is slightly off, it shouldn't be black, it should be a kind of light-ish blue. We move over to the calendar, you see that these days of the week are in a slightly lesser opacity than here. The number and the circle, like the number is a larger portion of the circle over here. Here, the circle is slightly too large. On the right side, this line is too thin. This line is slightly thicker, the kind of proportion of the whole widget. So these are really small things, but this is where the difference is made. Honestly, some of my clients might not even tell the difference between these two, and my additional work might not be that worthwhile, but when it comes to keeping them for a really long time, your clients always have to have lower standards than you do. You'll only be able to keep the clients where your standards are higher, because if their standards are higher, they're always going to be disappointed in your work, because they'll be able to tell the difference in the small details that you're missing, and so you'll always disappoint them. And if you disappoint them, they will leave you, because you're not doing the one thing that they paid you to do. So, lesson 2, keeping clients makes you much more money. Pay more attention to detail than your clients to keep them for a really long time, right? Client has a problem, goes to you, makes you money, has another problem, makes you more money, has another problem, makes you more money. Like a lot more money. Thirdly, over-communication is the true key to keep them forever. Now, let me explain why, right? So humans hate uncertainty. We hate not knowing what's going on. This creates anxiety in us. This is a phenomenon that's relatively well known. It's not like me just making stuff up. Over-communicating will make your clients feel way more at ease. If they feel at ease, they will stay with you, they will love you, and they will talk about you, aka give you referrals. So if you have no idea what's going on, you will feel a great sense of anxiety, because you're really confused, and that causes us worry. And so if you spend a lot of time over communicating to your clients, that will reduce the worry and anxiety of your clients, and that will make them way more comfortable. We want relaxed clients, because those relaxed clients tend to stay with you way longer, especially if they're happy with your service. I used to be completely shit at this. And when I say bad, I mean really bad. August of 2022, I was starting out the company. My communication, right, was literally along the lines of, hey, when are you free for a chat? Need to update you on something. I'm a bit on the move. Maybe another time is better. Like, when's your next available slot? Want to do later today? Oh, wait, I forgot I had a bunch of calls tonight. Honestly, this screenshot's a little bit embarrassing if I'm completely honest. Like, looking back at this, I think this is incredibly unprofessional. Now, granted, the price that I was charging was way less, and so that also makes sense. Nowadays, we have a 3-part weekly communication system. We have client HQs, we have weekly reviews, we have check-in calls. We have a Notion document where any documentation that we produce for a client is added there. So we will do, this is one example, right? We had source code, a future changes list, an off-ramping manual, App Store submission doc, backend documentation, production deploy instructions, weekly wrap-up videos as well. I make Loom videos every week for every single client. I also type up what's going on. We also did meeting notes for this particular client. So there's a bunch of stuff that's going on. And guess what? Some of the clients don't read this, and that's okay. And it's still worth doing, because the golden rule is the client never asks me, where's my work? How's the project going? Any updates? What's going on? They never feel the need to ask where their work is. And I think that is like really paramount. And so many people miss that. This client used to sometimes text me and be like, hey man, any updates? Because I wouldn't say anything sometimes. And that was an awful system. This system is regular, and the client always knows where to go to ask, to check for communications. I send it over Slack. I'll send them a Loom video and a weekly roundup, which is like this kind of weekly notes thing. It's so much more relaxing for them because they know they will get updates. They don't need to ask for anything. They just know they're going to get an update. And many times in these videos, I will also do demos, right? So if whatever we build, I'll send a Loom video just like this where I demo the application or whatever. It is worth so much for their peace of mind. And if you give clients peace of mind, they value that extremely. So lesson 3, share everything with your clients and they will be much more relaxed. Relaxed clients stay with you longer. Relaxed clients will love you much more. Now, this includes bad things as well, by the way. If you have a struggle, if you hit a roadblock, if you do something wrong, be upfront about it and just say like, hey man, I'm really sorry. We messed up here. That's on us. We're going to do XYZ things to fix it. And if you really, really screwed up, then give them a discount. Give them a bit of their money back. But take responsibility for your mistakes and they will respect you. If a client respects you, the respect of your client is worth so much. We had to one time process a refund of like half a project value because we literally didn't manage to complete one tiny feature, but they considered the project incomplete. And that was a really tough choice for us, but they demanded some of money back. And we eventually obliged just because it's like the respect that the client has for you is extremely important because that will influence your word of mouth. And that's how you get better relationships and things like that. With that said, that brings me to the end of this presentation. I hope it was useful. If you made it this far, I really, really appreciate you watching. If you are curious about kind of how to make your clients worth more and you run some kind of business, feel free to schedule a call with us. Also drop any comments if you have any questions about me, my business, whatever. I try and read those. I record every day. I don't do presentations every day, but I certainly try and record as useful videos as possible. And so if there's good questions and things like that and other things that I can help people with, I would love to. That's pretty much it. Yeah, I really appreciate anybody who watches and I hope it's useful.